CageSide with your host, Kyle Lyoto for CouchFire.co. And in this installment, I'd like to break down the upcoming light heavyweight championship in the UFC at UFC 140 between champion Jon Jones versus Lyoto Machida. Now, this fight, obviously, it's a 5-round fight. It takes place on a pretty good card, and we're going to see, really, we've been waiting to see this matchup of two guys with very kind of similar styles, if you want to look at it, is that Jon Jones has a very long reach, the longest in the UFC for a light heavyweight, and most fighters, he has 84.4 inch reach advantage almost over anybody. And then you have Lyoto Machida, who is a counter striker, very elusive. So you have a man with good reach, great footwork, who's going to stay in and out of the pocket like Jon Jones. And then you have Lyoto Machida, who's very elusive, and he only pounces on you when you make your first move. So this one could either be 5 rounds of dance recital, or it could be 5 rounds or 5 rounds of absolute excitement. It just depends on how this one pans out. So it's kind of like two similar styles, except Jon Jones has a wrestling advantage, and Lyoto Machida, in this one, I would say has the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu advantage. So it'll be interesting to see how this one pans out. So there's a couple things I just really did want to talk about. Is that I was rather upset when Lyoto Machida was given this title shot. I understand that people were hurt. I understand that there were matchups. But I was rather ticked off when Lyoto Machida didn't step up to the plate when Rashad Evans needed somebody to fight. Obviously, Tito Ortiz stepped up to fight and showed how courageous and what legends do in the sport. But you don't say that you deserve Anderson Silva money when you don't deserve Anderson Silva money. I think Lyoto Machida is a good fighter. Personally, I think he's a good fighter, but I did not understand this move. When the boss calls you up and asks you to fight, and he said he was injured, it wasn't 100% serious injury, but still, you step up to fight, and, obviously, you beat Evans already. It should be a home run. Obviously, it's a different Evans, but it should have been a fight that you should have taken. So that's why I was rather upset that Machida got this title shot over some other fighters, but there was nobody left. So I understand that. And Machida is a good fighter, so this could be a great fight. Stylistically, it's going to be a very, very interesting fight. So that's just what I had to say in regards to that. So let's just get into it. Jon Jones, okay, the light heavyweight champion of the world, going to be, if he continues to win, one of the top pound-for-pound fighters in the world. The kid continues to learn. He gets better every time he steps into the octagon. He is a very versatile and dynamic striker, and people could still say, quote-unquote, that he is a raw fighter. He is a fast learner. His striking gets better every single time. His leg kicks were such a huge factor in the Rampage Jackson fight. His stand-up between his flying knees, spinning back fists, and his just dynamic striking. He is so in and out of the pocket. He is very unpredictable. For his division, he is a very unpredictable fighter. He does lack knockout power, but he's a very tough guy. He's a very tough guy, and he can literally pick you apart with all of his stand-up. So he's a very good stand-up fighter, lacks the knockout power, in my honest opinion. Jon Jones is one of the best wrestlers in all of MMA. Okay, not only is it just his technique and his technique and everything else that he does when he wrestles, but it's his size. When he gets somebody on the ground, he has all legs. It is so hard to get out from under Jon Jones because of how long his legs are and how wide of a frame and tall of a body he is. It's not like you could just get out of that. People have struggled with Jon Jones on top of him. Along with his wrestling, his great takedown ability, he's great in the clinch. He was a Greco-Roman wrestler, and Greco-Roman guys, in my honest opinion, are some of the best wrestlers out there. They never struggle to get guys down to the mat. Once they get a hold of you, you're going for a ride. That's how it works. So Jon Jones, great wrestler, and his ground and pound is absolutely devastating between his elbows and everything else that he brings to the table in his ground and pound game. What he does, though, is with his ground and pound, with his stand-up, his wrestling, he wears you out, and he's been developing a great submission game. He's won a lot of fights by submission, from Rampage Jackson to Ryan Bader. He's really developing a great submission game. He breaks your will, he takes your heart, and he beats you down, and then he finds the perfect opportune moment to attack. Jon Jones is game planning, fighting with Jackson's submission. His game planning is absolutely exceptional. People can complain about the Shogun fight where he took his time. He really waits for the best opportune moment to finish the fight or to win the fight. So this is, it'll be very interesting to see what his game plan is for Lyoto Machida. Very few people, if any, okay, have figured out Lyoto Machida's style. Randy Couture thought he did. Randy Couture got crane kick to the face and lost. Okay, so it'll be very interesting to see. That's Jon Jones. Lyoto Machida. Lyoto Machida is stylistically one of the hardest fighters to match up with. He's a counter striker. He never comes after you. He waits for you to make a mistake, and then he jumps all over you. He's done it in many fights, and you know what? The guy's got knockout power. That's what he has in this fight. I'm not going to give him the 100% stand-up advantage in this fight because Jon Jones is still developing a very good stand-up game. I'll give Lyoto Machida the slight advantage in the stand-up game because of his knockout power. He's got great leg kicks with his karate background. He has great hands. He's good in the clinch, but I give it to Jones in this one. His best bet would be separation punches out of the clinch with Jones. Regardless, he's not a pure wrestler, Lyoto Machida, but he is a pure Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. He is a very skilled Jiu-Jitsu practitioner. So it'll be interesting to see. I mean, if he could deal with Jon Jones on the mat and roll with Jon Jones. Jon Jones is a great wrestler, but we'll see if Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu will prevail against one of the best wrestlers in all of MMA. That will be an interesting thing to see. So, and regardless of that, I said Machida's got knockout power, great wrestling, good in the clinch, very good stand-up stylistically. So, and his game planning's good. People say that Machida's sometimes a boring guy to fight until he jumps all over you, and people are like, oh my God, where did this guy come from? Machida, I'm not going to say that his chin is bad. The guy has been in fights before, but after that Shogun fight and being rocked a couple of times, I don't think that Machida has the best of chins. I also don't think Jon Jones has the best of chins simply because it's never been tested. His will has also never been tested, Jon Jones. So it's very interesting to see what is going to happen. We've seen Machida's will been tested against Shogun in 5 rounds in both fights. Well, obviously one did not go. The second one against Shogun and Machida ended rather early. But, you know, we know Machida can be in a battle. It's just a matter of what type of pace this is. And last I just wanted to say very quickly is it's going to be very interesting who's going to dictate the pace. Lyoto Machida usually dictates the pace of his fights, and Jon Jones usually dictates the pace in the fights because of their styles. But it'll be interesting to see. I think the guy who beats Jones is going to be the guy who's the aggressor, the one who comes after him and closes the distance. But that's not Machida's style. It'll be interesting to see if he actually does come out and implement a different style. The guy that beats Jon Jones and the guy that beats Lyoto Machida is the guy that brings to him. Shogun beat Lyoto Machida. Jon Jones obviously has not been beaten yet. I still think Dan Henderson is the guy to beat him. Call me crazy, but that's what's going to happen. So that's what I have for that. In regards to the prediction and the way I see the fight going down, 5-round fight, okay, I think leg kicks are going to be crucial in this fight for whoever implements them better. Quite frankly, if Jon Jones takes notes from the Shogun Rua fight, leg kicks is what took Machida out of that fight, that 5-round fight that he won by decision, the very controversial decision. I think if you get rid of Machida's lead leg and then you take him down to the ground, you implement your ground and pound, you make Machida work and you break his will. I think that's the best way for Jones to be successful in this fight. Use his wrestling. He has a huge wrestling advantage. If Machida's successful in this fight, he needs to fight aggressive. I mean, if you could try and throw Jones out of his game plan and try and be a counter striker, I don't think that's going to work. I think you need to be aggressive, but that's not Machida's style. But if he is aggressive and he closes the gap on Jones and lays in heavy strikes, it's going to be a good fight for Machida. So that's how both are successful in this fight. When it comes down to it, it's a 5-round fight. I see it going back and forth. I see the first round being a feeler for each other. They're going to test each other out. They're going to find their range. It's going to be a couple kicks, a couple punches. I don't think it's going to be crazy stuff in the first round. Maybe we'll see some takedown attempts. Jon Jones is also very successful in a lot of his takedown attempts. If he does get a hold of Machida, he is going for a ride. I see this one going to the second. I see them getting a little bit more comfortable with each other. Machida coming in and out of the pocket, maybe laying a couple shots. The only thing is I see when Machida gets too close, I see Jones getting a hold of him, taking Machida down to the ground, implementing ground and pound, taking his time with him, though. He's got to wear out Machida and test that cardio of his and wear him out. And Jones will lay down some heavy ground and pound, and we're going to get into the 3rd round. What I see happening again in this round, okay, Machida and Jones, they'll circle, strikes will be thrown. I see Jon Jones getting Machida down to the ground again. I know I'm making this sound like it's one-sided, okay? This is just how I see it happening with Machida's style. He's not aggressive enough. I see Jon Jones getting Lyoto Machida down to the ground in the 3rd round. I see him laying some heavy shots, testing out that questionable chin of Lyoto Machida's, and I see him TKOing Lyoto Machida in the 3rd round and remaining the light heavyweight champion of the world. So, third round, TKO, Jon Jones, light heavyweight champion of the world, and questioning who he fights next. And Lyoto Machida, we'll see where he goes after this. He will rebound. He's a very talented fighter. That's what I have for this edition of the Cage Side Couch. This is Cowboy signing off. I'm out of here.